So I got that figured out. Now all I need is a basket to pour them little boogers down on. They'll go right in yonder. I began this process by drilling a hole through a piece of diamond plate. So that would be your intake for the inducer fan. Then I mounted the fan. Now here, I'm trying to determine how long each side of the basket needs to be. And what I did was create a grid on that piece of metal plate and poked holes in it on a 1/2 inch spacing all the way around. I used a 15/64 drill bit to knock those holes in. Like I said, a 1/2 inch in all directions to create the grid. I like to put blue tape on the top of the metal. It just makes it easy to see when you're marking. Use a Sharpie, as you see me doing here. Then we're going to take a center punch and we're going to center punch on the crosshairs of every one of those crosses. And there we have a ton of holes to put in this thing. Using the bandsaw, porta band, to cut it to length. 8 inches was how long this piece was needed to be. Over to the drill press and let's punch some holes in this thing. Now I'm not going to bore you. Bore you. Get it? Drill. I'm not going to bore you by doing the entire grid. You know how drilling a hole works. We just continue. I thought this was kind of a cool shot here with the smoke coming off of it. So this is the last hole. And then we'll show you what it looks like when we peel back the skin off of this plate. Swiss cheese, as they say. Here we're going to use a 2-foot pipe wrench to bend this. And I started to bend it and it would not bend where I wanted it to down by the jaw. So we will turn to violence here in just a second to make this happen. A 2-pound mason hammer does quick work on that plate. Looking for somewhere around 45 degrees so I can slide that down in the throat of the stove. And here we're cutting a strip that I'm going to weld on the outside. My basket was too narrow, so I added this piece, which was fortunate because it made a handle I can drop in and out. There's a weld going across the bottom of this chute that's hitting the side of this, which is also fortunate. It allowed me to put that little shoulder to stop the basket from hitting the bottom of the chute. Little handle so I can pull it back out. But as you can see, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but it's down in there. We'll apply a little light to the subject. Now you can see it. And I don't know if you can see that shoulder in there that I'm talking about. I need a pointer. So that shoulder that I was saying was in the way, or weld, is right there. And there's one there. So when I slide the basket in, those little grooves or shoulders hold it up in the air. So there you have it. We're ready for testing. Now this piece of diamond plate, if this works, will get cut on a nice angle. I'll be welding this piece of angle iron to the side of the chute, and I'll still leave a clamp here so that I can remove this for cleaning and etc. This little cover here is for lighting. Take that off, take the torch like so, stick the torch in, light the fire. Once it's lit, put the little cover back on. This will obviously have the pellets in it. We'll take this cover here, cover that, and bing bang boom, easy peasy lemon squeezy, we got a pellet stove. All right, everybody, there you go. Converting a rocket stove to a pellet stove. We've proved that it works. What did I learn so far? Well, number one, I learned that I don't think I'm going to use that inducer fan all the time. I'm going to take that inducer out after I get the thing chugging along. The temperature difference wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that different. So that'll save me money and electricity by not running the little inducer fan motor that we have there. Also, the pellets I've got in there are from my pellet grill up on my deck, so I'm not so sure they're going to put out the heat signature that I'd like. But between 400 and 500 degrees coming off the top of that stove, I'm happy with that. That'll warm this little shop up in no time. As always, I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something. Please give us a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention. It's about 50 degrees outside, so it's way warmer than it should be turning this thing on to begin with. So I would lay money on when it's nice and cold that the draft on that thing is going to increase tremendously, and it'll heat that stove up even more. Right now it's chugging along at about 420 degrees, so just wanted to add that little bit to it. I noticed that because walking next to the stove, I could hear the wind move outside, and when the wind started to blow, the stove started to whistle like and roar like the old rocket stove. Thanks, everybody.